Hey everybody, this is Jeremy from Octane TV. We have a new podcast today, and we're going to be sharing this podcast with Blake, and also down on the end there is Dustin.
How's it going, everybody?
And he's going to start this show, and we're going to talk a little bit about Blake and Blake's life.
All right, Blake, start from the beginning, man. Let's need to know a little bit about you, man, and the viewers here probably don't know nothing about you either, so.
Probably not too much. Born in Texas, lived in Indiana most of my life, but you know, I still hold some roots back there.
What part of Texas?
Houston.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What possessed you to come all the way out here, man?
Man, that's a story for when we sit at the bar and tell you the whole story behind that. That's not a family-friendly story.
When did you come to Indiana?
I think it was around 7, 8.
7, 8. Okay, cool.
Something around there. But I still hold, love to Texas.
Yeah.
You know, I have a tattoo on my chest that, will always be there because Texas is from the heart.
Yeah.
Not trying to get too sentimental early here. But yeah, love it, miss it, and food's fantastic. If you've never been, got to go one time.
And you said what part of Texas?
Houston.
Okay,
Yep.
So I went to San Antonio.
Yep.
And that was, the food was definitely awesome.
Houston
man.
has some of the best weather I have ever seen.
Absolutely. Humid as all get out.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious because when we moved from Houston to here, everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's so humid during the summer." I'm like, "No, you have no idea.
Oh, I can only
You
imagine
have
down there.
no idea."
The only thing I loved about Houston was in February, March. The weather is just beautiful. It's like being in Florida almost.
Yep.
It's like almost like identical. So, yeah, I love that place.
Oh yeah, great time. So yeah,
I like Indiana.
Indiana's not bad. It's not bad. Everyone kind of rags on it, but overall, I mean, we have cost of living that's nice. We have certain areas that are good, certain areas,
Yeah.
that are bad.
Stay outside of 465.
Stay outside of 465. I live up in Lebanon, where
nice area.
it is the fast food capital of the world, as I call it.
Yeah.
People there think that Chili's is fine dining. Sorry if that's your thing.
Hey, I like Chili's.
I mean, it's good for what it is. Cheap
Yeah.
date, 2 for $20. If it's
Yeah.
still that way,
Probably not.
but
I went there yesterday. and
Inflation.
Yeah, it's about 2 for $30.
so it's literally the fast food capital of the world. We just got another burger and chicken place announced today on the town page. So
And I've seen a lot of businesses
boy.
go out of business there. A lot of restaurants. I think like Denny's. A lot of them have went under.
I don't remember if I think Denny's is still there.
Oh, that's good.
Not popular in town because
Yeah.
the Flapjacks is kind of the
hot
breakfast
yeah.
place. So you have that there. But like I said, cost of living is cheap. The town's pretty quiet. We don't have too much crime there. So
Yeah, I like Lebanon, man. I think it's a really nice city. I used to take my daughter up to the water park there, and it's got one of the nicest water parks out of any place that I've been. I mean, I call it swimming pool, whatever you call it.
Yeah,
water park.
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's just really nice. They got a wave pool.
Yep.
They got everything, and it was like $2, $3.
it's super cheap, super cheap to get in.
Now, how long
now-
you said you lived there?
My wife and I lived there for just before COVID. So I think that was what, 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
I think we've been in our house for 6 years.
That's pretty good.
I stole her from the Fort Wayne area.
Oh,
If
wow.
y'all know where Roanoke is,
I've heard of it.
I
it's
know.
just west of Fort Wayne. It's a very, very small town. It's way smaller than Lebanon, but like no fast food. It's all
tiny town.
If you can't tell, I love food. I'll talk about food all day.
Me too.
But so yeah, I kind of poached her from up there. She went to college up there, and then we got together. And after a certain point, we said, "Hey, either this is going to work or not going to work, and where do we want to live?" And I kind of said, "I don't want to live in Fort Wayne."
Yeah.
So
Blame me there.
poached her. We moved to Lebanon and been there ever since.
That's awesome.
So-
I spent a lot of time, but in my teenage years, man, there was that gas station right off the interstate by the Wendy's.
Yeah. Like the Gas America.
Yeah, I think it was. We used to all hang out there, man. There in the
Yeah.
park. It was always a pretty cool place to hang. Because, like I said, my buddy lived out there for a while, and it was a pretty cool scene out there.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say that's the beginning of my story, but it's kind of somewhere in the middle as far as cars go, man. It was a good time, man. So,
Yeah.
good little town.
I almost moved there at one point, but I ended up going to Indianapolis. It's crazy. It's just it seems like a really good small hometown type place.
Yeah.
And it's right outside of I think it's like Whitestown, Zionsville.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then you're in between Lafayette and Indiana.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which is pretty cool.
I was always told there too, man. Like, you know, got any business that gets around? You know what I mean?
Because small town.
Yeah.
It does real quick,
Yeah.
and everyone talks about everything, and you know you can't have one door closed without one door opening, and the whole town talks about it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, sometimes it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes not.
And when you live in Lebanon, I mean, I would probably say you come to the IndyCar scene more than you do like Lafayette or Fort Wayne or anything like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, my dad was and forever will be into cars. He's built and had some amazing things that we can obviously talk about later on, but a lot of my friends today are some of the older generation that when I was a kid, I was that 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old who was, helping my dad, and all of his friends were based out of Indy.
Oh, okay.
So whenever I started to have, my own cars and do that life for myself, it was kind of a easy transition of just, we'll just hang out with the Indy people. And we didn't know many people up in Lafayette, so that was a pretty easy choice of, I'll just hang out with everyone down here and life's good.
Now, did you guys do anything when you were a kid? Did you guys go to any certain places in Indy?
No, so my dad never really, at least with me, did anything, of hanging out. I mean, we went to Suds here and there.
Okay. We did too. That's
yeah.
crazy.
That's my place to be, man.
So my dad is a huge fan of Suds. Did that for, almost every weekend.
That's crazy.
But for the most part, for the longest time, my dad was a diehard racer. So if you compare what he did back in the day to what people do now, he ran small tire.
Okay.
Obviously, when people weren't babies and had the clocks on, that's when he was racing. But
Is there any certain tracks he used to go to?
We ran at Muncie, Lucas Oil, Edgewater, every track within like 5 hours, north, south, east, west. We were there.
Quarter mile.
Eighth mile.
Okay.
Mile. Yeah, because everyone was a nitrous junkie back then. So
Fast
yeah, exactly. So it was all eighth mile stuff.
And we were just talking about this with Joey. We had on the podcast 2 days ago about how many 8th mile tracks there are in Indiana.
Yeah. Yep.
Very few quarter mile, but there's a lot of 8th mile.
Well, I might go back to the history of what it used to be like, man.
It's crazy.
I mean, now granted, I haven't ever been on an 8th mile. I've only been on the half mile. I haven't raced on a half mile, but I've been on a half mile track, and honestly, Muncie. I mean, that's only. Well, I guess I've been to Lucas Oil too, but I feel like Muncie's a way better track, man.
I really like Muncie, man. That's definitely where. That's the first track I ever raced on.
I just wish it wasn't such a haul for us because I'm a Southsider, man.
Oh yeah. If you're not on that like northeast corner, even that little loop there, it's a haul no matter which way you come from, whether it's Greenwood, West Side, even us on the northwest side. It takes us minimum hour 25.
Yeah. Right.
With no traffic, and I think we all know how the north side of Indy goes.
Yeah, you do not want to get involved with traffic.
No. So if we go the back way through Ellick and Elwood, it's an hour 45, and that's just to get there, and then you got to come back. But I think as you'll learn, I'm very partial to Muncie. Muncie is now home and probably will forever be home for me as a track. The owners Scott and Don take care of my wife and I fantastically. We also make them some money, so that helps.
Yeah.
But
they're really good people. Like I
fantastic.
Times, and they bought it from. I can't remember who they bought it from. I met the previous owners when I was up there a lot too.
Yep.
And they really turned the place around.
Yes.
Because it was, when I used to go there when I was younger, it was wild.
Mm-hmm.
I took my mom one time, made a couple of mistakes. They had like a wet T-shirt contest. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, it was a little crazy up there, and they've turned it around. Like it's
Yeah.
a lot nicer, a lot cleaner, a lot better place.
I've heard stories about the whole wet T-shirt thing and people being on trailers and whatnot. And could because I know Dawn put an absolute stop to that.
100%.
She was like, "Look, like this is still a family place," and honestly, a lot of sponsors said, "Hey, we're going to pull funding if you continue to do that because some people don't like it. We all can have fun, and do our own thing, but when somebody's name is right behind Becky, who is topless.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a different story.
And it takes
so
a lot of to me, it's like you're cutting a lot of the demographic
Yes.
out. You're cutting all females and all kids from
Yes.
being able to come to that event, and that's I think what kind of hurt Muncie a lot.
Absolutely.
And they had that reputation, so it was just kind of like the wet and wild place.
I mean, I bring my boys to that.
Yeah. I mean, but we both got girls too.
Yeah.
It's like, so it makes it a little uncomfortable. And I screwed up, took my mom there one time, and I was like, oh, what is this? I didn't know
Whoops.
this was going on, you know? So, but it was, I mean, it's always been a great place that I've went to. Even when I was younger, I went up there, and that was the first place I ever ran. So I really like Muncie by far.
So what do you do out there?
So that's just a side job.
Right.
For my day job, you know, I'll do a very, very quick deal about that. I'm a salesman / buyer, if you want to call that. I've been there 7 weeks, so I'm still trying to, you know, figure that whole role out. But we deal in the dairy space, so through everything we're gonna learn tonight. Keep in mind, I do have a day job, but basically what we do at Muncie now is host events there. My wife and I own and operate Whole Shot Media.
Okay.
So we started that out as just a hobby. So with my dad racing, you know, when I was a kid, I'm a horrible spectator. If you've noticed, I only go to events to either participate or film.
Exactly.
I can't sit there and watch. I am horrible at
Can't do
it.
it either, buddy.
So my wife, who I wish was here tonight, I love you, honey. And also for everyone watching, listening, whatever, she is the backbone of Whole Shot Media. I wish she got more credit than what she deserves the world, because she, 1, puts up my shit, 2, puts up my shit, and 3, plans everything. And so please, if you guys can, thank her. I'm sure you'll meet her at some point, but she deserves so much more credit than she ever gets. But
Most women do. I mean,
yeah,
They're the backbone of a lot.
it's. I just get to be the face sometimes, you know, that everyone sees, and because she doesn't do cameras well, you know, she likes being behind the camera rather than, you know, than in front. So, but she grew up and actually raced dirt bikes and did Supercross and all that. So we have that background together.
That's awesome.
So I was like, well, hey, I really love drag racing. She goes, oh, well, it's cool, you know, it like and not saying that as like she doesn't like it. She was like, okay, well, I haven't done that. Show me, you know, what goes with it. And then I said, well, hey, I like to film, and then she's a fantastic photographer. You've seen her work.
Exactly.
She is one of the best in the state, in my opinion, not just because she's my wife. She's really damn good. So we started Whole Shot Media as this thing of, hey, well, I like to video, you like to film, you know, you like to take pictures, and then we started to just go and cover no prep events, prep events. We did a few drift events. I mean, we've done everything.
nice.
That's awesome.
So we started that as just hey, it's a fun hobby for us, right? And then we were getting more involved in racing again. At least I was, and she was getting more involved for the first time. And then Scott came to me one day and said, hey, why don't you put on like a little car event? Because Scott is a bracket racer, for those who know what bracket racing is. Yeah. Completely different world than the street car scene.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use street car loosely there.
Yeah.
So he came to me and said, well, hey, why don't you just throw something on? We'll see if it works, and we'll just have fun. Because Scott is all about variety. As much as he loves bracket racing, he loves watching street cars and definitely loves watching radial cars go really freaking fast. So I said, all right, you know, I put, I think three or four people together and said, let's figure out, how to do this. Let's get some sponsors together. I think we got around $2,000 for the very first night, and put together a little roll race of the King. We did a King of the Bakery or whatever we called it back then.
Yeah.
And then had a fun night where it was cheap, and everyone just came and had a good time.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most successful things to this day that we have ever done.
That's good, man.
So that's what kind of spawned the whole race series. Right. Is Scott out of nowhere said, well, hey, why don't you just have, a few cars, and a few cars literally turned into like 200 plus racing on one night for the very first thing we ever put together.
That's awesome, man.
So,
Like a hell of a turnout.
oh yeah,
really good.
Oh yeah, it was. I still get goosebumps. I mean, I'm still get goosebumps to this day, because it was nothing that we ever sought out to do. Right. Because we both have day jobs. And that's our main focus.
Yeah.
But when you when you get the right people together, you do the right thing, everyone shows up.
Yeah, it shows you can make it happen. It kind of probably set the standard for you, you know?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And so that's a lot of what we do at Muncie. We help them promote their own events. If they need us, we'll come out and be the track photographer, for a day. But now we've kind of morphed into this, we do everything at Muncie, and now I host rentals there.
That's awesome.
And people call me like, "Hey, can you tell Scott?" I'm like, "Well, here's Scott's number." "Well, can you tell him?" I'm now the guy at Muncie.
The delivery guy.
Exactly. And it's not like Scott hides from people. He's there all the time. He gives everybody his number. So it's not like it's this, magical, or mythical creature that you can't find.
Yeah.
He's there. But so yeah, if you want to define what we do at Muncie, everything.
Everything, yeah.
Everything.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a good little setup, man. Like, I've only been out there twice. Dude, I've had nothing. I would say nothing but good things to say about that place.
Yeah.
I mean, I was scared to death my first year going out there, man, and dude, I just had such a great time. And then we heard we were coming back in 2023, and man, I was even more excited, because I learned a lot from the first year, and I was carrying it out all over, and a lot of practice on my car, and then we got to bring a bunch of friends out there too, man, and it was just an awesome time, man.
And
Yeah.
it's nice that, when you do your events as well, you do roll racing, you do everything. And that's what I kind of like is the variety.
Yes.
The one thing about when I go to Lucas, because I used to go to Wild Wednesdays, and then, I'd go to Muncie because I used to live up north, and I would go to Muncie all the time on Wednesdays, is I like the variety that you offer because then everybody gets a chance to be able to race.
And variety is what makes it fun to me.
Yes.
When you have Sally and her Honda Civic that does 85 miles an hour in a quarter, having a fantastic time, and then you have and even my dad. So my dad has knocked roll racing for the longest time. Like, he's been like
A lot of people do.
because he's a diehard drag racer.
Exactly.
So he's like, "Oh, there can't be any fun, blah blah blah." And I tell you to this day, he showed up in his bone stock BMW that went 100 miles an hour in the quarter, and you saw him at the back of the return road,
Yeah.
just happy as he could be. And I'm like, "Dad, you good?" He goes, "Dude, I'm having so much fun." But it also helped out that he was racing Ortiz.
Oh, wow.
And but Ortiz was driving Redmond's Subaru,
Oh, okay.
so it was like side by side race. They both went like 100.1 and like 99.9. So because it was such a close race, but and it was slow, they had fun.
Yeah.
And so he had fun, and then we also have guys like Mike Bandy and then Travis Martin who come out who blister off mid 180s in the quarter.
Yeah.
So when I say we have everything in variety, we have variety. So no one comes there and we have, for those who can't see it, there's a big truck in front of us. We have trucks that come to, BMWs, Camaros, Nissan, everything shows up, and
You're right,
and that's what makes
nice.
it fun.
Yes, and when I've went, there's S2000s, 2JZ swaps.
Yep.
There's Fox bodies. There's everything. It's
Yep.
not like every car is like Camaro, Fox body, Mustang. It's a lot. Hellcats. There's a lot of different
So
vehicles.
is there going to be any big events out there that's going to pull in like a real big crowd, man? Because I'm going to say like the last 2 times I've been there it hasn't been decent, but I want to. It seems like the big dogs are just sitting at least the 2 events I've been, which I ain't gonna.
They'll go to the larger events.
That's kind of what I want to see, man, because I want to see this thing at its prime, man. And quite honestly, man, I'm biased on this, but I don't really get the roll racing thing, man. And the only reason why is because I feel like it takes most of the skill out of what this is. Because granted, most people I was racing out there, I was outclassed. A lot of these cars can beat me on a roll, but they weren't beating me on a dig.
Yeah. So I want to preface this, and you got to leave your feelings to the side.
All right.
How fast does your car go in the quarter?
Not very fast. 123 as I was driving.
So I'm going to say this with respect to you and everybody
I
else,
want to be able to understand it. 'Cause
but it doesn't take much to make a car work from a roll at that speed.
Right.
Yeah.
You can take just about anything, throw a moderately decent tire on there, it's going to work.
Right.
Yeah.
Once you start getting, I'd say once you start trapping about mid 140s and up, that's when you're going to start running a traction. Like my car, I don't think you've seen it yet. I've got a wide body red eye. It traps, on a very good day about 144, 145,
Nice.
like clockwork. But if I try and start roll racing in second gear, good luck. A freaking Honda's going to beat me because I cannot find traction.
Exactly.
But if I start in third gear, then it's like, bleh. So where I say respectfully, yes, is roll racing easier? Absolutely. But once you hit a certain power threshold, it's a whole different game.
Right.
Because either you got to throw, in my opinion, a better gear set, different transmission, and then you got to worry about suspension and track, because some tracks, like when SAT comes to Indy, they prep it one time,
And
that's it.
And then the street tires and everybody else goes down.
And then it just tears it up entirely. So, even for me, like in third gear, if I, leaving that, I almost have to, half throttle it, get it rolling,
Right.
and then I can get into it. So I say that with respect, because like when I've made the whole progression in Chargers, I've had a 5.7, I've had a 6.4, now I have Hellcat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
them all.
I've had everything. So, and when I had the 5.7 and Scat, yeah, I could punch the throttle and pooey, off we go.
Yeah.
But with the Hellcat, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I'm a bit of an underdog anyway, man. I mean, I've said it 1,000 times, but I've got a Roush face too, so it's only like 727 crank, 590 wheel. And last time I went out there, I ran the Pilot Sport 4S's. But I practiced digging over and over and over.
Oh, yeah.
And I was telling everybody, like, man, I was going after the people that I knew were outclassed me, and I was having, if I would have done a little bit better, I think I could have beat a lot more people. I mean, that one guy raced, I won't say names, but they had the Black Cat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And had I been quicker off the line, I would have beat him because my trap and my time was better than his. He just got off the line quicker.
Now I want to also make sure you and everyone understands ET in roll racing doesn't matter. It is it is the most irrelevant factor known to mankind.
Well,
Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, is it because like 'cause I've only seen it roll racing once.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of guys like I didn't understand it.
So, at least at Muncie, I can speak for that. I've seen it how it runs at Indy and Edgewater and some other tracks, but specifically at Muncie, their timing system is only capable of doing so much. So it's a very crude but it works method. They take one guy, he's got mops that cover the staging beams, and once they send you from the back, at his discretion, he'll pull the mop. So he could be bored, after running 80 races and say, well, I'm going to, sit here and I'm going to do one. And I'm going to do the other. But keep in mind, the time your ET starts once those beams are broken.
Right. Okay.
So he could just be literally playing games and having fun, because that's a boring job sometimes. I've done it myself of, hey, I'm going to do, two staggered deals, within 5 seconds. So, one guy, you could be running, side by side, but one ET shows 15.0 and then the next one shows 10.0.
Right.
That's why I just go for trap speed.
Yes.
That's
So
literally the only reason I do it.
So I say that with hopefully everyone forever understands ET does not matter ever for roll racing. The only thing you can consistently, I'm trying to figure out the word there, judge yourself or see if you did any better is based off of mile an hour. That's it.
Well, my question there though is that we're basing that off of the guys that are when you're pulling off, because they were saying 40 mile an hour is what you're supposed to be.
They were supposed to be.
In theory, yeah.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. And some guys, a lot of these guys that were out there are just like me. They don't have a whole lot of experience on a track. You know what I mean? So you're at the discretion of, are these guys really crossing that at 40? Is that gonna? Because surely that's gonna affect your trap speed. Right?
A tiny bit.
It's crazy because it doesn't.
Yeah.
So like for our races, I tell everybody if you're there to just have fun.
Yeah.
Hey, if you guys want to do 30, 40, 50, it doesn't matter. Now, when you have more of a sanctioned event and race, that's when it does become more critical. But unless you're in a huge turbo car, your trap speed is pretty close to the same from a dig as it is to a roll, which most people are like, that doesn't make much sense. And
It's crazy.
I don't understand the science behind it. I'm
just
not that smart. But I've done it long enough. I wish I had time slips with me. I will put whatever's in my wallet that my car will trap like 142 from a roll. I know what it does. I've ran it a billion times. And I can also show you the slip on my fridge that it's been 962 at 142. I don't know why it's the same.
Isn't it crazy?
I'm not smart enough to explain it,
Crazy.
but that's just how it works.
Right.
So,
Well, that's the thing is like when we went to TX2K, you would actually they had such a long runway unlike Muncie
Yes.
and other events. They have a super long runway that you had to just stall at 45. Like
Yep.
and then bam, they had to kick it as soon as they go over on that.
Correct.
line. And if you were over 45 and you clicked over that line, they automatically disqualified.
yeah, that's where I wish we had more of a runway
Yeah.
at Muncie.
Yeah.
It would change the game entirely there because it is so it's so short, and you really have to have two people with a brain who know, hey, I'm following this guy.
Yep.
And so it takes two intelligent people to do it right.
Yeah.
And I don't do that to knock anybody, but if you're going to have true competition, you got to have people that have a brain and know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not saying everyone's dumb, they can't do it. Come out and practice.
Yeah.
That's why we
it
have
took me multiple
that's why
times.
we have
Yep.
the Friday night events to say, hey, come out and practice. It's $40, $20 to get in the gate. Sorry, there's a $5 increase this year. I couldn't control it. $20 to get in the gate, $20 for tech card. Run all night long.
So $20 a spectator, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And $40 if you want to run your car.
Exactly.
Okay. That's not bad at all.
And everyone that's been there can attest. We don't dilly dally. We don't wait around. I've had people turn in like 20 plus time slips in one night.
Oh yeah. Oh,
and-
the same way.
Yeah. So there's no like waiting for anything. When you want to go race, you go race.
That's awesome, dude. And that's kind of where my first time out there. I mean, I had guys like, dude, you should probably let your car cool down. I'm like, no.
He was doing back to back.
I ran like 20
Back to
times in
back.
probably about an hour, man. And they're like, man, you might want to let that thing cool down. Man, that supercharger's got to be heat sucking.
Just a little bit. Yeah. Just a little bit.
Everybody's over there like icing their fucking their superchargers and stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what are they doing, man?
But that's why I really like roll racing. The only reason I go out to do roll racing is because for some cars, rear-wheel drive cars mainly, like it's a little bit tougher for us because on certain cars and platforms I bought, if I break my axles on my Supra, it's $3,000.
Whew.
And that's a year waiting list. And it's like, do I really want to be down without my car for a year?
Mm-hmm.
So when roll racing was introduced, it's like this is the perfect opportunity for me to go out there and be able to have some fun and not worry about snapping something to be able to beat an ET. I could just say, hey, look, I trapped 140, 141, 146, So that's the main reason why I really like roll racing is for guys like me that have to worry about breaking an axle, breaking that. Now, my newer cars, I don't have to worry about that as much, but certain cars I've owned, that was my limitation was being able to break stuff or even a trans. Like, I mean, some of my cars, you break a trans, I mean, it's $10,000 and you're without your car for a year. So that's why I really kind of like the roll racing. It's safe to me because I don't have to worry about damaging something on a, I mean, your car's expensive, my car's expensive, all of our cars are expensive.
Every
Yeah,
car's
but
expensive.
But you're pushing your car, a lot harder than like to the limit.
Yeah.
I would say to the limit. No, I would say the limit. I would say more like you're definitely pushing it further than what I'm pushing. I mean,
It's like when we took my car out to Muncie and we ran it, we literally took off really slow, just not to damage anything, tear anything up,
or wreck
break
your brand new
anything.
car.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
or nuke a drive shaft when you're 2.5 hours away with no trailer. Yeah,
Exactly.
done that before.
Exactly.
And if you want to throw that clip in here, I'll send you that one. God, that was
What were you
miserable.
driving?
I was in my Hellcat. I race that thing everywhere. We were racing at SET Edgewater, and I mean it's. I wish the guy did not walk in front. My wife was filming, and the car made it. I mean it went this, and it just blew it blew to all hell.
Anything else?
Thankfully, no.
Oh, you were lucky.
Thankfully, no. So, but I had enough forward momentum to where I'd pulled over, pulled side, blah, blah, announcer and crowd clap for me because I did the right thing. If you ever break, pull over. Do not sit on the track. All right.
Did it break the yoke? Did it twist it?
If I recall correctly, so the Charger Challengers come with a 2-piece drive shaft.
I did not know
Just
that either.
so just behind the carrier bearing, that shaft, it literally just twisted
Twisted
it
it?
and just said pop.
Two-piece drive shaft.
Now,
Yeah.
why would they put it like with a car that much power? Why the hell would
The
they
car
do that?
because the car is so damn long.
Yep.
Cue land yacht jokes. It's so freaking long that when you put a one piece in it, it's so long that you run into a lot of vibration issues.
Okay.
That's one thing I'm fighting now because we put a new one in mine. But it's not the drive shaft. It was actually the U-joint that was junk. So sent that back to the manufacturer. They're making me a new one. Waiting for it to come back.
Now, is this a 1-piece or 2-piece? You got
One
there?
piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so I've heard a lot of people, even in my Mustang platform, they were even saying the same
I
thing.
had one all mine.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I hear a lot of people saying that same thing, and I've always wondered, and I've heard arguments about that. But is it a balancing issue with the drive shaft, or is it just the way that? Because surely when you mount it up, I mean, there's a little bit of play, is there not? So if you don't get that thing perfectly centered, wouldn't you run into vibration issues?
It's from what I've ran into. It's a mixture of one, it's not balanced because I think we all know and love UPS and FedEx. I love UPS. I hate FedEx. Shout out to them. But shit's in a truck. It falls over. It can get dented. Anything can happen during shipping. Exactly. So sometimes you run into it's just a balance issue. So you take it to your local shop, have them rebalance it, you're good to go. Sometimes you don't clock it right, so it's off a smidge. So you fix it, good to go.
Yeah. Because I feel like a 64th of an inch could cause.
It's. I mean, you got something that's spinning thousands of. I don't think people realize. When they say, "Oh, it's spinning," 4,000 or 5,000, 6,000, RPM. Like, do you realize? Like, people don't take the moment to realize how truly fast that is.
Yeah, how much power is going through that?
Exactly. I mean, my car makes right at, I think it was 910 or 920 of the wheel.
Wow.
So yeah, exactly. And if you read the graph, I mean, it's not just like this. It is this. So I mean, there's no like weight, for power. It's there now.
Is yours still stock blower, or did you?
Stock blower, except for we did do the race bearings in it.
Okay.
Because the 2.7 blower is obviously heavier than the 2.4, and once you start spinning it, to a certain degree, it decides to go bye-bye. So it's not ported. It's not anything. It's the most simple setup in the world, in my opinion, for that platform. Yeah, but it just works. Yeah. It's a, like I mentioned, it's a 21 red eye. It's upper pulley, lower fuel system injectors, and on E85.
That's awesome.
And it makes gobs of power.
And it's drivable. That's awesome.
I drive it everywhere. I drive it where I can because unfortunately they're stolen. If you blink during this video, a Hellcat's been stolen. It's ridiculous.
They just make these things like, is there easy ways for these guys to steal them? I mean, is there like a method that they're?
It is easier than picking up this pin. I've seen videos where the really, really good guys take it within literally 10 to 15 seconds.
I think I would install some kind of kill switch every time I get out of that car.
So
you can.
So when Joey was here 2 days ago, we started doing those on Hellcats.
That's what I was wondering,
doing a system where basically it enables the push button start to where it can't work anymore.
Yeah.
So they can't get into it and they can't do anything because the vehicle's damaged.
Yeah, I think that'd be the first thing I would work on if I had something like that.
But it's hard because you can't sacrifice. That's the one thing that we're trying to figure out right now is what happens is like older cars when we do start or interrupt. So what happens is that system fails that we put in, you have no way to start your car now.
That's true.
So now you're screwed.
So
that's why I try to explain to people there's always a good and a bad. That's
the sad
part.
I guess you could always have a manual bypass or something,
You can't because it's computer controlled. That's the problem.
Okay.
So like older Jeeps, things like that, you could put like a kill switch in, you could pull this pin and it would disable the starter wire and do all things.
Right.
Everything was so manual, A plus B equals C. You're an electrician, you know how wiring works. Awesome when everything works as positive and negatives.
Right.
With Dodge, with CAN bus and things like that, it's ... equals this, ... 4 times equals this.
Okay.
And it makes it so much more tough for us because everything's computer controlled and data driven now.
Right.
So
everything.
It's like,
You think Dodge would kind of woke up on that, and then if that's been an ongoing issue,
They did now.
Because
That part.
So with the 170,
It's too late. It's too late.
Well,
They've been doing it since 15. That's
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering with the 170 when people are spending $300,000 for their, $90,000 car.
Think about it from Dodge's standpoint. When they steal them, they get another car sold. So why would they want to do it? That's the biggest reason. It's like Kia. So Kia's in a lot of. So Kia and a lot of people know this. I only know this because I do remote starts, but Kia's in a lot of heat, which is weird. Because a lot of people are stealing Kias and Hyundais. And the main reason why they're stealing them is because every car, ever since the 90s, was equipped with airbags and anti-theft. Well, late 90s, it became almost you had to have that put on a vehicle so nobody'd steal it. So everyone, including GM, Ford, all the big guys, they started putting data chips and all this stuff. Well, Kia and Hyundai decided we're going to offer two options, one with anti-theft and one without. Well,
Really?
most of your normal vehicles do not have anti-theft. I'd say probably 95%. Kia Soul, Kia, everything.
No
When they
kidding.
switched to push-button platform, that all changed. Now, Kia push-button start has anti-theft. If you have a non-push-button start, 99.9% of the time it's manufactured either in Canada or US, and depending on where it's manufactured, they did not make it mandatory.
Wow.
So it's like an old system you ever seen, like in Terminator and stuff like that, where it gets the wires like
Yep.
you just literally start the car like that. Hotwire, because it's just basically a straight harness. Now for us remote star guys, it's amazing because it doesn't require a bypass, and it gets even worse than that after that. But they're data driven on one side and then non-data driven ignition harness.
You think R&D would have said, man, guys, this might not be a good
It's
idea.
cheap. It's very cheap. That's why they do it. But they make, so what's so weird about that, I won't go into a huge amount of details, but what's so weird about Kia and Hyundai is they did data-driven everything on the vehicle. So whenever we do keyless and we have to do things on those, most guys won't do it because they're lazy, and I get it, and it's cheaper. It's easier to just go ahead and wire everything up manually or do it like that. Well, when you do it like that, it won't work right because there's a piece in between that blocks it that's data-driven. So it might work 9 times, might work 8 times when you hit your keyless entry. So you have to put that stupid module in there to make the keyless entry work. Because if you don't, it won't work right because it won't be able to communicate data to data. Gotcha. So it's weird that they used a old ignition harness from the 80s and 90s, and then everything else in the car is all data driven. Okay. It's super weird. So when people come in, they're like, well, is it cheaper to do it because you don't have to have the bypass? Technically, yes, you could do it that way if you don't want keyless or anything like that. Now, here's the kicker. When you remote start the vehicle, the keyless doesn't work. So if you go back, you're just going back into the Flintstone age. You have to just key out, stick it in the key lock, and unlock it. I have to explain this to everybody because I've had to learn this from all this, but it's crazy how car manufacturers, they don't realize how many mistakes they make until it's too late. They've been doing this for 15, 20 years.
Wow.
And you got to think with Chrysler, they've been doing it since 15. I mean, when they came out with the first 300.
I mean, surely there's a company or something that does, like, they oversee stuff like that and make sure that kind of stuff don't happen.
You would think.
You think? Now it's.
I mean, hell, we got all these EPA laws that
Well,
worry about that crap.
The main reason why nobody's doing anything is because I would say 2007, 2008, Caprices, bubble Caprices, box Caprices, those were the number one hottest stolen car besides Honda Civics. And the Chargers and 300s ran under the radar because they weren't a big thing back then. But now, ever since this slideshow stuff and crazy stuff that guys are doing, now that's when everybody wants them. And now that's why I think it's the more. And what's weird is I just checked the top 10 list of stolen cars and they weren't even on there. And that's so weird. Yeah, they're not even on the top 10 list of stolen cars.
Whoever made that list is
That's what I said.
is not qualified for that job.
Every single person in the comments was like, "Where's the Hellcat?" Where's
Yeah.
What it is they don't want to put them on the spotlight.
Well, it's because it's per manufacturer ratio to how many cars they built. So if there's 1,000 Hellcats to 4 million Civics, I see why the Civic is higher in ratio when you look at it's the same way death rate in cities and stuff like that. But we all know that there is more Hellcats stolen than anything else. I mean, in all honesty. And when they're stolen, you probably never see them again. They're stripped.
I don't know how if you guys ever have had a car stolen or if if somebody takes it, please don't bring it back. Do whatever you want with it, and I never want to see it again.
I don't want to ever
because at that point, we're car guys. It almost feels like it's just tainted. It will forever. Unless they literally went from McDonald's to Burger King in it and didn't touch it, then fine. Yeah. But once somebody starts stripping wires and pulling parts, and then you have all these issues, it's like I don't want it back.
You're exactly right.
Just literally throw it in the ocean. I never want to see it
like
again.
You said, I'm really a big stickler with what I do for a living with wiring. It's the same way with electrician. Like, I would not want a car that had a full main harness chalked up, cut up. I'm like, nope, I don't want that car no more.
Yep.
I mean, to me, that car's totaled. Like, you put a whole new harness in it, I'll buy it. And I mean, I don't think you want to spend $30,000 to do that.
And I talked about my buddy's truck that got stolen. I know the guy ripped out like the OnStar stuff, and he played hell trying to get everything working again.
Oh yeah.
And I think he still has problems with this.
Yeah,
because he's got a GMC. It's one of the 2500 diesel trucks.
Yep.
So I mean, I know to this day he still has little tiny problems here and there.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And I know the insurance company, I don't think they did much for him, man. I mean, he got his truck back, it was all beat up, and I mean,
so sad.
It is. I mean, especially when you're talking a truck that, at that time was probably $60, $70, $80,000. You know what I mean?
It's not cheap.
No,
Not cheap.
Nope.
Well, that's why I feel bad when I was talking to you over Sean's and stuff. Like, you're like, I just don't even drive that car anymore because I'm afraid it's going to get stolen. I'm afraid they're going to start getting into other cars too, like the M3s and things like that, because they're such a hot commodity in Florida and California, and our push-button system is set up exactly like yours.
Is it really?
I'm afraid that these guys are going to get smart and they're going to realize, oh, man, we can just steal any car. And they're just going to start stealing people's cars, man. And then we're over here sitting here going, okay, now what do I do?
Yep.
You know, like you just stole my car with 30 grand worth of mods in it, and insurance is like, no, I'm sorry. We're not going to give you money for your mods.
Yeah.
But hey, I didn't ask for my car to get stolen.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what blows my mind too, is that you're forced to get insurance, but yet insurance are like,
Oh, they won't play
the
games
crooks.
with
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Insurance is a whole scam. I could go. I just had my sewer line in my house blow up, so they only covered. It was about a $18,000 bill, but they only covered 10 grand of it.
Now, how long you been paying for that insurance?
Long enough.
Long enough.
Long enough.
Yeah, it's like we're quick to take your money, but we're not giving it back.
Exactly. So, I mean, thankfully, I'm in a spot where I can afford it. But, if I wasn't, like, what do you do?
Yeah,
I
you
pay
know?
for this. Why?
Yeah. I mean, everyone plans, hey, I'll put, X amount aside, if I have a tire, pop, something that you use every single day. Granted, you use your sewer every single day.
But you don't think about a sewer.
Exactly. So I'm just like, so, it makes you think like, well, how much should I save, for my roof or this or that?
That was my Whipple, man. Like, that's what me and him talk about every time we got money saved up. It's like, well, there goes my fuel system. There goes that down the drain.
Yeah.
It's like every time. I
Oh,
swear.
When you guys are over here talking about having like 9 and 10 second cars, I'm struggling to even get into the tens.
Hey,
It's like, hey, man, I want to be fast.
we all start somewhere. My very first pass ever down the drag strip, and I wish I had one to this day. Was a 96 Grand Prix
Oh, wow.
with a good old trusty 3.1. Man, I had so many of those growing up. I went through because I was an idiot. I think about 6 of them.
Oh, wow.
I had a white one, two black ones. One was the special black and gold. I had the 7-Up green, and then I had the rest were red.
All automatics?
Yes, all.
That's crazy.
But my very first pass down the drag strip was in a 91. Yeah, 91? Did I say 91? Yeah, Grand Prix. But best thing, I wish I still had one to this day because it was reliable as hell. Except when I beat the crap out of it. But hey, it's all
I
right.
had a 91 Cavalier Z24 with a 3.1 in it.
I miss
It
it.
was a stick car.
But you could drive them everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely
They run
everywhere.
Forever. The paint would fall off before the engine would blow up.
Absolutely.
That's the craziest part.
Yeah.
I love that car, man. But I feel like everybody starts out with a GM car, like
Mm-hmm.
a Cavalier or a Corsica or a a Grand Prix or
Yep.
something along those lines. I'm like, I feel like you have to start out with one of those cars.
But what's funny is if you know where Strawtown is.
Yeah.
My dad and I actually bought that at my first car at the I had the Strawtown auction. Yep.
Yeah.
And I missed, dude, all the candy peanuts and shit there.
Yeah.
I loved it. So we bought it for like $600, and but for me back then that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But we were driving it home, halfway home, pop the head gasket.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, and of course me, I'm just happy to have a car, and then I'm driving around and it starts smoking like hell. And my dad's like, you might want to pull over. I'm like, why? Freaking oblivious as hell.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to pull over. And then
Don't make it worse.
yeah. So, we stopped, and then he went home, got his truck and trailer, got that, and then put in the garage, and then we swapped a brand new 3.1 in it because it was, I would say swap. We just put a different one in. But very very first car I bought within like 5 miles blew up.
It's terrible.
And I was like, it's gonna be a little rough there. But beyond that, after that, I drove the freaking wheels off of it and had a great time.
What are some of the cars that you've owned that you liked a lot?
I know I just said that, but I wish I had another Grand Prix just to drive around. I had, remember those old B100 or B1000 Mazda trucks?
Yeah.
I had 2 of them.
Those are worth a lot of money.
I wish I had them. One was white, one was green.
What's special about those?
You could just drive the piss out of them.
Yeah, mini trucks, they love them.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like I had the Tacoma, which back then was the T100.
Oh yeah.
And that thing I had I think it was like 400 and like it's like 435 on the like 435,000.
Yeah.
And my clutch went out.
Damn.
That was why I sold it. I mean, and I took it to, and it was they had one of those deals, the push, pull, or tow. Mm-hmm. And they were like, "We'll give you $3,000 for your truck," and I'm like, "This is gonna be fun." And I come in there, and that thing was, I mean, I got hit by a semi, and I mean, I still drove it. But when I say hit by a semi, it was he was turning into my lane, and he had the spikes on his legs, and it hit the side of my truck, and it's made swirls. Like picked my truck up, slammed it on the ground. I did like a couple spins on the highway, and I didn't hit nobody.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Well, I parked it, and then the semi was like, "Man, that was impressive, man." And I'm like, "So what we doing here?" And he was like, "I'm like," he's like, "Do you want to claim this?" I'm like, "I mean, my truck's worth like $500. I think my deductible's $500. Dude, if you're good, I'm good, man."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You have no idea how much I appreciate this because you know they got a lot to ride on."
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
He would. Yeah, it was.
They'll
but,
get them on them cameras now.
But it's just crazy though. I mean, that how much miles that thing is, and what's actually more funny about that, I forgot about that. I drowned that truck. We had that big old flood. Yeah, it was like 2006, maybe 2010, somewhere. Like we had that really bad flood or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I was in Frankfurt. Was driving down south. There was a dip in this an apartment complex, and it dipped down. And I guess there was a drain there that was a storm drain. Well, I'd never been through this apartment complex because I had to go through here to basically get around some flooded areas, and it looked flat, but it wasn't. It was actually about 3 feet deep. And I put the whole nose of my truck in there. It was like 2 hours this truck was in there, and I literally got it home, I drained the oil, started right back up. And I drove that thing for probably 2 or 3 more years.
That's impressive.
Crazy,
You can't get that out of vehicles anymore, I don't feel like, man.
No.
I mean, that thing was bulletproof, man.
Yeah, they don't make them like they used to. That's the only sad part.
And I lived in the back of that truck, too, at one point in my life.
And the bed.
Yeah, I put a camper shell in the back, and I stayed back there for probably 3 or 4 months.
Dang.
You got
I mean,
to do what you got to do.
I wasn't mad at it, man. You know how much money I saved living back there?
Especially here.
Yeah, man.